In 2 Corinthians 9:10, the scripture did mention that God ministers seed to the sower. Now let's look at it. You're a farmer and God has given you a seed. Now, for you to be able to sow that seed effectively, you have to understand what kind of seed has God given you. You have to understand what kind of seed. Let's say you have a seed of corn or a kernel at hand. Now, if you don't understand what kind of seed you're holding, you might sow at the wrong time. You might sow at the wrong planting season. You might even sow in the wrong soil because some soil are not fertile. So you have to understand what kind of seed has God given me. So if I know this is a seed of corn, then I know, okay, this is the planting season for corn. So this is the time of the year I will sow and have bountiful harvest, right? And this is the kind of soil I need to sow to reap bountiful harvest. And this is even the sowing method. You have to know how, right? So this is how I'm going to sow. I'm not just going to throw the seed randomly or carelessly in the soil. I'm going to plant strategically, because the more strategically I plant, the more strategic my planting, the more productivity I have in my harvest. And that is the same thing that applies if you look at 2 Corinthians 9:10, there it says that God ministers seed to the sower, and when we've sown, he multiplies what we have sown. So now that means it is not in our place to worry about how bountiful, how well my harvest is going to do when we've done our own part. The important thing is that we have a part to play, and that is sowing what God has given. And if you look at it metaphorically speaking, that is refining what God has given you. So now, what is the skill God has given? Do you know the skill God has given? Have you found out what God has put in you for His glory and for your own benefit? So you have to recognize what. That you have to ask the what question. What has God given me? Now the second question is how. The how question now. How do you refine what God has given? Right? And even the timing, what time, what is the best time to deploy what God has given? Because we have to understand all of this and put them together to be able to plant effectively, to be able to deploy our gift and talent effectively. So it is like a partnership we have with God. God is the giver. He gives you something. That something has given could be, maybe you want to do a business, has given you an idea, a business idea, right? So God is not going to come down to help you do that business. He will just give you an idea and expect that you use that idea to execute that idea to have a thriving and a sustainable business. That idea could be, what He has given you could be maybe a solution to a problem you are facing. Maybe you are in a difficult situation currently and you are praying, and God has given you an idea to solve that problem. All right. So in as much as God might not give you the full picture, but He has given you something, so you have to deploy what He has given you to get what you want. Right. So it is a form of partnership. If God gives, we as humans, we as believers, we are to deploy effectively. We are to plant effectively, and God who gives now is one to multiply the harvest. So we should not worry about how the harvest comes out if you have done our own part properly. If you look at the scriptures in Mark 4:26 to 29, it says when the farmer plants, he goes about his business and he just comes back and see that what he has planted has sprouted and has produced harvest, right? So the farmer will not plant and sit down and start worrying about, oh, when is this going to germinate? Oh, what do I do for this to germinate? No. Once the farmer has planted, now the God of harvest is the one to multiply the effort of the farmer. So most of us go into anxiety and depression because we want to do God's part, because we want to do the part of God. But now God only expects us to play our role, and our role is to plant effectively. Once we've done that, leave the rest to God. It's just like a partnership. So once God has done His own part, we do our own part. Definitely, we're going to have a very bountiful harvest. The God of the harvest will multiply our effort, and we'll have the best of harvest. So I pray that we recognize what it is God has given us in partnership with God. We cannot do it alone because He is one who has given us these things, and He knows what He has instilled in us, right? He knows what He has deposited in us. So if we cannot do it independently of God, because we don't know, we are limited in understanding and knowledge. So it is God who sees the now and the future. So we have to work in partnership with Him, get close to Him in our relationship with Him. When we get close to Him, He reveals to us. The scripture says something in Jeremiah 33 verse 3. It says, call upon me and I'll answer you, and I'll show you great and mighty things that you do not know. It says that call upon me, I'll answer you and show you great and mighty things that you do not know. So it is when we come to that place of fellowship, we can call upon the name of God and He can begin to show us things that we don't even know. Right? That is what His word has said. So we cannot do it independently of God. We have to be in partnership. We have to be in fellowship with God to be able to know what He has given us and to utilize it effectively for His glory and for our own blessing and benefit. I pray this message will find expression in us and will help us to live our life to the fulfillment, to the fullest of the potentials God has invested in us. God bless you for watching and remain blessed.